Welcome to this week's Ask GMBN, where we try and answer all your mountain bike related questions. If you have any, leave them in the comments section down below. We'll read them, and you can always email them to ask@gmbn.com. Right, let's kick this one off with the question from Henry Kumel, and it's about trials bikes. It says, loves the channel, thanks for that. I'm thinking about starting to ride trials. Any bike recommendations?
Talking about trials bikes for Martin actually. Yeah, he's talking about the Inspired Hex. So that's a 26-inch wheeled street trials bike. So it's pretty versatile, so you can jump on it and do other stuff. And it's got normal saddles, so you can get away with sticking the saddle up to get to your riding area.
It's a normal looking trials bike, it's not a 20-inch or anything crazy like that.
No, it looks similar to what Danny McCaskill rides, but it's the bigger version, essentially.
Similar to what Martin used to ride a lot of, I suppose.
I think so, yeah, same sort of bike, yeah.
Cool, right, next question comes from Darren James. He's purchased his first mountain bike back in June as a Voodoo Hoodoo hardtail. Wants to know if he can remove his front derailleur without changing crankset straight away.
Yes, he can, but he may need either a front chain guide to keep the chain on or a 1x chainring.
So he's got a 3x setup at the moment. So what would you do? You'd leave the ring in the middle position?
Ideally in the middle, yep.
Give you a good chain line.
Yep, and then one of the two options, either new chainring or some sort of chain guide. You only need the upper chain guide though, so they're not too expensive. Similar price as a chainring actually.
Right, this is a good question. Diego says, I don't get why the bigger rotor is in the front wheel, say 200mm rotor front and 180mm rear. He rides gravity enduro trails and his main brake is the rear one, or am I doing something wrong?
I don't think he's doing anything wrong, no, because I guess it does depend on your preference, but you bear in mind that when you're pitched down a hill, you've got more weight bias to your front wheel, so that's got more traction on it, so your braking power is more controllable through there.
I've questioned this personally. I don't know. I'd love to do a test to see actually, because the common sort of thing that people say is the front brake does the most stopping. However, in that situation, I find that obviously if your front wheel slides, you're in trouble. So I think you would tend to bias the rear a bit more. I think we need to do a video on it and test out which brake is actually, let's say, getting hotter, therefore we'd know which one was doing the most work.
I think it also does depend on the specific trails you ride. Like if you're riding a bike park, I think you run the back brake quite extensively. You don't really use the front brake as much.
I think we need to do some tests into this. Okay, Josip Glaznovic, I have one question for us, for you even. I heard somewhere that a noisier Freehub is better and more durable. Is it or is it not? And why are some noisier and some not?
It's not necessarily better or more durable. It just so happens that a lot of the better ones are noisier.
Bit of a sort of trademark.
Stronger springs basically, but you get other designs. So in a typical one, you've got a pull that goes, it's like a ratchet system. It's got a powerful spring that makes it click. That's what you hear. But other designs like the DT hubs, they've got like a circular ratchet. So you've got two discs and they click into each other.
Yeah.
They're actually fairly quiet, but they're every bit as reliable. So it's not always the case.
I'm sure that's not the first time we've been asked that question actually, but
they do sound nice.
Thank you stuff. John Bradbury, I have a dropper post from a previous bike and he just purchased a downhill bike. Is it worth putting the dropper post on his downhill bike as he does a fair amount of pedaling?
Don't see why not. If it fits, as long as you can slam it down low enough.
That would be my issue, yeah, it depends. Because you want to get
frame design, doesn't it?
Yeah. Don't see many people running dropper posts on downhill bike. Not to say it's the wrong thing to do.
A lot of people did it at Peter Marisburg that year.
It's going to be a bit heavier.
Brassier and a few others.
You can generally get away with a really short, lightweight seat post on downhill bike, but
if you've got it lying around, you want to give it a try.
But why not check out our video on will a dropper post make you faster? Here I've got two bikes that both could be described as cross-country marathon bikes. One has a dropper seat post, the other doesn't, has a normal seat post. I'm going to test them back to back to see if you really do need a dropper seat post for cross-country.
Matthias Folstad, I've got a downhill bike with a Marzocchi 888 RV on it. When I bought the fork, it had a lot of stiction, so I've given it a full service with an oil change and full greasing. It's still got some stiction. Any tips?
I would say it probably needs a bit of an overhaul rather than a sort of a light service. When I said did do a full service.
Yeah, but he hasn't mentioned bushes and stuff.
Yeah, and true.
I mean, he hasn't said he bought the fork new, so we don't know that. It's possible if it was new, it's not even bedded in the first place.
True.
Some of them were sticky to start with.
But generally, yeah, Marzocchis are pretty sort of
pretty slick, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought there's something going on there. You need to work it out. Yeah, maybe a full service.
Popular topic at the moment for us. Jessica Labud says, I'm a big fan of GMBN, have been for a long time, and mountain biking. My question is though, will GMBN ever introduce a woman mountain biker presenter?
Yeah, we've had that question a few times, and rightfully so. Yes, we're trying to. At the moment, we're struggling to find the right person. So what we're trying to do is find some girls like we know of, like Annie Lass, where we'll go out and visit these girls and do a load of videos. Definitely some women-specific tips would be really cool. So definitely. Yeah, super open to doing that stuff, definitely.
Shay Benno, what is the reason that new bicycles come with front left rear brakes? I'm riding with front on the right like my motorcycle. Front
on the right is definitely a UK thing. US tends to be the other way around. So I'm guessing Shay's probably from the US. I don't know why it's like that. It's just a geographical thing, isn't it, really?
I think it was originally, way back, I think it was something to do with road signalling. So if you drive on the left-hand side, you have your front brake on the right. And the reason for that is when you pull across the traffic, the safer brake technically to use would be a back brake. Yeah. So you don't mess around with the handling. But I think that's pretty dated.
I ride a motorbike and a mountain bike, obviously, and I can't imagine having to do one on one on the other on the other. You know, have it the other way around. So for me, it just seems natural to have the front brake on the right. So.
Yeah. Sam Brown, is it a good idea to make a gap jump and make the landing movable so you can improve distance and technique without having to build loads?
That's a pretty good idea. I'd say the easiest way is probably to do it the other way around, is get a takeoff that's movable and then just build the biggest downslope you can, and then you can just move that around. I did that as a youth with pallets in the car park. And
everyone's had a bit, you move it all back as you get better.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great video here. So it's a beginner dirt jump construction video by Blake. Really good one, that. Check this out.
Whoa, wow. Man, this location is sick. The dirt is perfect for digging in. Today is the day where I show you how to build a progressive jump, one that you can progress on and just get all your skills up together. But first, you need one of these. The spade.
Next question comes from Hudson Carmouche, who's got a 5-inch travel Yeti, and he's in the market for a Pike, RockShox Pike fork, I presume. Lives in Austin, Texas, where trails are made up of about 50% technical and rock garden terrain, so pretty technical. Would I be better off with a 150 or 160mm Pike? So it's a 5-inch travel Yeti, so that's 130mm travel front and rear at the moment.
I think you could definitely get away with 140 or 150. I probably wouldn't go any higher than that myself, because firstly you're going to raise your bottom bracket height, and obviously your bars are going to come up higher as well. With a longer travel fork, the sag ratio will sort of bring it down again, but the bike's never going to handle quite as well as how it's originally designed with less travel.
Yeah, especially I think if you're pedaling stuff, I'd rather keep the front end a little bit lower, so 150 sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You're not going to notice a huge difference, I don't think, between the two anyway. But. Frank Wilson set his fork based on the manufacturer's specs. However, I like the feel of an extra 10 pounds of pressure. After watching Doddy's video on volume spacers, I'm starting to wonder if I should be adding spacers instead. Thoughts?
Yeah, experiment with it. That's what they're there for. I mean, most forks these days do come with a couple of those. They're very cheap to get hold of for your forks, so get some and try it.
I've always said that the manufacturer's specs aren't that accurate. Having said that, I tried out a set of RockShox Pikes last year, and I found their gauge was actually really accurate, but it depends on the fork, I suppose. It's a good guide to start with.
Yeah, don't get too stuck to the guide, sort of use it as a base setting, and then just sort of write down where you are, so you experiment.
Yep. Sam Millage, I've been riding my local trails for 6 months or so now, and I'm loving it. I'd love to race eventually, and I was wondering, how good do you have to be before you enter a local enduro race? I'm prepared for getting my butt kicked and finishing towards the bottom. I just don't want to finish dead last by a mile.
I think you kind of answered it there yourself. I think you just need to go and try a local race first. You know, it's no biggie if you don't do well.
Don't worry about
yourself, don't you? Yeah, get out there and do it.
I did my first bike race within a week of having my first mountain bike, and came 28th out of 30, I think, when I was 14. So the field wasn't exactly the strongest, but who cares? Doesn't matter.
Just get out there and do it.
Yeah. Poor Herberholz. I've been riding for about a year on a 600 pounds hardtail. When would you recommend is the right time to upgrade to something of a higher quality?
I think when you start out riding the bike, really, and I would recommend not actually spending any money unless you actually have to. So if you start breaking stuff, upgrade those components and wheels and stuff with the next sort of level up. There's no need to just keep buying new stuff. Like, what you have is probably quite good for purpose.
Exactly how I did it was sort of thrashed my cheap bike to death, bought new wheels when they needed replacing, and then eventually after a year or so I probably found a bit of money to find a better bike, but there's definitely no rush to do it, I don't think. Time for the quickfire round where we've got to answer your questions as fast as we can because that's the rules. Henry Morlake, what are your thoughts on the Evil Insurgent?
Very nice, I prefer following now. Olen de Buck, can I use a RockShox Lyric fork and a Fox DPX2 shock together?
Of course you can, what a silly question.
Phil Adams, have you got any more fat bike videos planned? Can you do another one next time we get some decent snow?
We're going to do a fat bike video tomorrow. Blake's going to ride a fat bike, can't wait to see that.
We're not going to hold our breath for snow though, don't get much of that here.
Although I would love to go and do some fat biking in the snow. Sounds like fun. Tom K Webb, after an hour of trail riding, my right pinky and ring fingers go numb. Any suggestions?
Possibly your bars are too low. It sounds like there's a lot of weight on your hands if you're doing that, or maybe holding on too tight.
Potentially. Could be a lot of things that, I reckon. That's not very helpful, is it? But
no, sorry.
there you go.
It was quick fire though. Theo Barrachin, can you run a 26-inch wheel and a 27.5-inch fork?
You can. Would you want to?
I don't know if you'd want to because it's all not really designed for it. That was a quick answer. The longer one is about fork offset, but maybe that's a separate thing to deal with.
Fork offset? Sounds like you're saying something rude there. Matthew Jaggard, what do you guys think about Lafayette Spicy 327? I have no idea.
It's an alright bike.
Don't know anything about it.
Stephen Smith, who makes the best sounding hubs?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Hope makes some very loud hubs, but does everyone like loud hubs? We talked about this.
We do. Sometimes a quiet hub's good, especially when you ride naughty trails.
Chris King hub sounds good.
Yeah, sounds a really good hub there.
It's a bit of a classic, isn't it?
Gilio, can I put a 200mm travel fork on my 2014 Specialized Enduro 29er?
Yes, you can, but don't.
But don't.
Right, so now it's time for the correct me if I'm wrong section. You can always send your videos through the email to ask@gmbn.com. We'll take a look and we'll try and help you out some tips. This one comes from Finley Hawkins, who's 13 and he's been trying to get more height on his jumps.
Almost a bit of a step up, I'd say. That's good, got some decent height there.
Big old, yeah, I like that, that's cool. I think you could probably get a little bit further back on the takeoff. But I like the style. You see when you do actually, your back wheel takes off, you're really stood up tall, so that is always going to give you that pop. But try and get a little bit further back on the bike on the takeoff and then stand up forward, you'll get some height. But it's good, isn't it, Doddy? What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a good start, I think.
Put it in slow-mo, it's like some mega height there, so look at that, pretty good.
It is good, isn't it?
4 or 5 foot out of that jump. Just don't be so hard on yourself, that's really good. But yeah, try those little tips. Hopefully that'll help you out. Right, that's it for this week's Ask, so definitely keep sending your questions. I love doing this video, it's one of my favourite videos of the week.
Yeah, it's all good. Make sure you fire those questions in to ask@gmbn.com, and like Neil said, comment in the comments below.
Now, hopefully you've noticed that it's Freak Week on the channel, so if you want to see a freaky video, click over here for Blake being an idiot and showing us some freaky tricks.
Yeah, and right down here if you want to see Martin's freakiest bikes. So that's a real cool random collection of bikes.
Give us a subscribe if you haven't done already by clicking on the GMBN logo, and thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.